My name is John Fultz. I'm Director of User Interface Technology at Wolfram Research, and I'm giving a talk that I give pretty much annually about the state of the front end and what we're doing what we've been up to and what we're doing this year. And I hope that this is enlightening for you. It's a boring title because I got tired of coming up with titles. So there it is, Front End 2020. Guess what? I already know what my title is for next year. So I have a lot to get through. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, some ground rules. I'm not going to take questions during this talk. I'm expecting to run pretty close to time. I don't actually know exactly how close, but I am going to have an AMA that starts a half hour after this ends, 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. And so if you have questions, make a note of them and ask me then. And I'll be there for half an hour. Also, the entire front end team will be available to have discussions, questions, whatever you like, grief sessions if that's what you need to do, and that will be 2:30 Central Daylight Time. That's all on the calendar. If I find myself running low on time, I might skip slides, but don't worry, I will show a QR code at the end that links to this notebook in the Wolfram Cloud. If you really want to be able to catch it, you might pull out your cell phone camera and be ready to catch that QR code at the end. My talk is broken out roughly into 4 sections. I'm going to talk about new stuff we've added to user interfaces, new constructs, which are available for you to build your own user interfaces and visualizations. I'm going to talk about some of what we're doing with our updated platform support. And then I'm going to spend a little bit of time looking beyond 12.2. It's actually interesting because we spent a lot of time doing foundational stuff that didn't deliver into a fully finished, curated, polished feature for 12.2, but we see the trajectory. We have something that's beginning to work now. And I expect that we'll be shipping the version after 12.2. It's 13. The version after 12.2 sometime in the first half of next year is my thinking. We'll see how that goes, but hopefully well before this conference next year. So why not talk about it a bit? Okay, so let's go. Okay, so first of all, I would like to talk about a new thing we added called Canvas. So what is a canvas? Canvas is a thing that you draw on. So I'm just evaluating canvas bracket gives me this frame. Okay, and so what happens when I click on the frame? I get some drawing tools. Now we've had drawing tools before. They were not the friendliest tools to use, and we worked quite hard on trying to make something that is that's more focused and also that is more straightforward to use. So we have all of your standard sorts of things. We have shapes in your shape library and being able to set styles quite easily. Being able to set the dashing and thickness and so on. And so this is, and we can do line, and that's, that's an arrow, but look, that doesn't look very good because I made it a thick line, but let's, can we play with it? Look at that, we can, well, we can add a head. Now we got multiple heads. And now we can actually customize these heads as well, make them different sizes. And so I was having a little bit of difficulty with that version. Oh yes, and that's my warning that hopefully that's my one for today. Yes, I knew a possibility that we might be getting a crash here. So let's go ahead and get right back into it. Okay, and I knew that was risky when I did it, so. Okay, you can wrap Canvas around something. So we looked at the 0 argument form, and now we have the ability to wrap it around something. And so so now we can do the same thing that we did before, of course, point your arrow or whatever, but we can also select parts of the scene. And so here I'm selecting the plot, and maybe I don't like the color that it came through. I want a different color. I want to make it dashed or something like that. And there we go. I've made these changes. And now I'd like something that doesn't have the frame, something that that I can just deploy. So now I can wrap normal around it. And there we go. Now, no drawing tools. This is just a graphic. And so that's a thing that you can do. This allows you to edit your graphics in place. Maybe you didn't really want to edit the graphic. Maybe there's a lot of ink in the background that you're dealing with, and you don't really want to edit the graphic per se. You just want to annotate the graphic. Well, so that's an option as well. And you can specify a background option, and this might come out the wrong size, but if it does, we can fix it real quick. Yeah, so this is a thing that's just being developed right here at the end. So just fix that up. There we go. And so yeah, so now we have something where I can click, 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 and I cannot get to that graphic. I can't hit anything in the background. I can still annotate on top of it just fine, but the graphic itself is frozen. So you don't have to do that with just a graphic though. Background can be anything. So here I have an expression, and well, this is something that we've wanted to do, right? That we want to be able to take advantage of. Well, we have a program that can represent math nicely. Well, why don't we actually try to illustrate, for example, illustrate how the multiplication is being done. And we'll set that guy to a different color. And so we can see the 2 x's and the 2 y's being multiplied. And there we can do our sort of illustration there. And this had nothing to do with the graphic. How is this done? This is actually implemented as an overlay. Overlay is a function which has been around in Wolfram language for a long time, and we can do the same sort of thing with normal here. And the resulting, oops, look at that. That's okay, we'll fix that. But the resulting thing will be an overlay. So that's Canvas. Noah Hardwick is going to be talking about Canvas and drawing tools, and I neglected to catch exactly what time it was. But look at your schedule. Noah is going to be talking about that if you're interested. Okay. Up next, in the user interface sections, so we have completely redone the open save dialog for the cloud. And you can see here what the old version looks like, just as a reminder. And new version, let me bring that up real quick just so you can take a look at it while I'm talking about it. And so the big things here, so we have an interface that's providing a lot more information, and it's working more quickly as well. One of the things that was a problem, and we had some people internally who had a big problem with this actually, was that if they had directories that had hundreds or maybe even thousands of files, that the old browsing dialog would just plod through and take forever to update. And now we have something that updates incrementally as needed. So we spent a lot of effort on that, and also supports all the special locations that you see in the web browser, but you hadn't seen before in the open dialog. Your favorites, I don't have any favorites because I don't play favorites, but I do have recents. And I do have unnamed, and I do have some other stuff. So all these categories work. I have a few, yeah, there we go. So, so that is open and save from Wolfram Cloud. Next. Hyperlinks. So we've had hyperlinks before. We're working on improving the interface. And so, so we have auto linking, which is just linking as you type. No, this doesn't affect your code. We're just talking about regular text cells here. But if you type in something that looks like a URL, it will automatically link up. Or it could be, you know, some other kind of URI as well. So that works too. If you have a locally configured mail client, that would open up in your mail client. And then also contextual hyperlink interface. I need to bail to another notebook to demo this because I was seeing a conflict with the presenter tools notebook here. But and let me just zoom this up a bit so you can see it. But so if I make some text here, and then I'm just gonna give myself a destination, and I'm gonna set a, and this is off screen, sorry about that. I'm gonna set a cell tag on it, and so here we have make hyperlink. I can go to a web location. In this case, I'll actually choose to go to a cell tag in this notebook instead. And it's showing me I only have one cell tag in this notebook. So there it is, apply, boom, got my hyperlink. And then if I click on it, indeed, there it is. Now, if I want to go back and change things, I can just go back and edit the hyperlink again like that. Or actually, when you float, you'll see this, you know, the little linky thing that you can click on. Same thing, and you can edit it, or you can just remove it entirely. By the way, if you don't like the auto hyperlinks, you can edit them to remove them as well. So there will be an option to turn it off everywhere, but if it's just like one or two that you want to turn off, being able to remove it manually is a good option. Okay, so that's hyperlinks. Self-contained usage messages. This is one of my favorites. So here's the idea. Think about this. So I pulled here a snippet of the documentation for range. A range has 3 documented usages. Okay, has the 1 argument usage, has 2 argument usage, and a 3 argument usage. Straightforward enough. So now, if we type somewhere, and let me do this in my other notebook here. So if I type range, open square bracket, where did it's probably because I'm, yeah, okay. So and I press down arrow here, and I get the same 3. So yeah, this makes sense. You know, so I get these 3, and I can choose. And you know, if I want the 3 argument form, you know, I can do that. But what's interesting about this, though, is that when I'm looking at this third guy here doesn't make any sense on its own. It really doesn't. Range of IMIN, IMAX, DI uses step DI. Imagine that I just put my hand over the other 2 and you were just looking at this. And what would you think? You'd think, I don't have enough information. But, well, sometimes you have usage messages, or you have more than 3 cases. Partition has, what, 9 or 10 or 50, or I don't know what it is now, but partition is always kind of the whipping boy for this, but not just partition, others as well have this issue. And when you're getting some completion or lookup or something like that, it would be good to see something that's just relevant for what you're doing. Well, so we've started doing something about this, and it's this is a feature that it's seeing the light of day in Wolfram Alpha Notebook Edition. And so the idea here is that this isn't something that we could do automatically. We really have to do it by hand. You know, we have to go through and look at the usage messages and say, this one doesn't make sense by itself. Let's do something about that. Let's rewrite it so that it does make sense. And so let me just, I have to do the secret sauce here in order to enable it. It will be on by default, but it's not on by default yet in the build that I have. And let me copy this. Okay, and file, new, Wolfram Alpha mode notebook. And we're going to paste in 0 to 20 in steps of 3. And this is going to produce a 3-argument range. And so, so here we go. Okay, so there's my 3-argument range. And now I got a little Wolfie icon here. So, I mean, this code was generated by Wolfram Alpha. So this is, you know, as a user, I may or may not know something about what's going on here. And the idea is, let's try to help people learn the language if that's what they want to do. If they want to use it like this and it's working for them, great, no problem. But if they want to try to learn the language, let's give them an opportunity. So click on it and you see 1, not 3, 1 usage message, and it's a usage message, and sorry, the magnification is a little small here, but it's a usage message which makes sense for the specific form of range that was used here. And that's one of the clever bits about it is these self-contained use messages, they're auto-detected based on which version of the function you actually used. So, and I am really hoping that that is the beginning of something that we can do more generally in the product, but in 12.2, you're definitely going to see it in Wolfram Alpha Notebook Edition and in Wolfram Alpha Notebooks, which can be accessed from any of the other front ends as well. Okay, tech math mode input. I'm not going to dwell too much on this. Stephen showed it. If you're interested, you probably love the idea. Maybe you might quibble with the choice of fonts. It still fits within our general style framework, but that's a conversation we can have. I have all kinds of people who reach out to me about you know, tech and tech typesetting and how it works. And let me just go ahead and paste it in here. And there we go. I can go back and I can click on it and edit it. Maybe. Or it might go boom. That would, nope. It's just killing the kernel. Okay, well, we can probably deal with that. Yes, we can deal with that. Okay, but yeah, so that's so that is, and I knew that was a danger point too, because this is not working as well in the presenter notebook. But yeah, so that's you can put it in typesetting in the context of text, just to make, as Stephen said over and over again, meaningless math. I think it probably has meaning to someone, but we get the point. Or you can try to evaluate it. It may not evaluate. Tech, you know, doesn't have a strong mathematical semantics. So we apply heuristics. They sometimes work, they sometimes don't. Okay, on to the user interface construction. Okay, so I'd like to talk about attached cells. We've had attached cells for, well, first of all, let me talk about cells. So cells can be nested within cells. If you don't know that, many of you probably do, but if you don't know that, it's cells aren't just the top level constructs, but they can be nested. And a few versions ago, we decided to do something additional. We decided to have cells which were attached to other things on the screen. Cells on top of cells. And so we've been doing this for a little while. So what's new? We'll get there in a second, but I have to give some background. Okay, so you know, the idea, we have the image toolbar, which pops up and gives you useful information. We have another image toolbar for 3D here, which pops up and allows you to do cool things like clipping that guy. That's fun. We have the predictive interface, and I'm sure that you have seen that, but I just want to point it out in a bit of context here. So here's predictive interface. That is an attached cell. Now in this case, it's a bit of a strange one because it is it actually pushed the other contents down, but it is an attached cell. If I hit the close button, that's also an attached cell. It's a different attached cell. One went away, it was replaced by the other. We were looking at Canvas, the drawing tools in Canvas. That's an attached cell. There are lots of other places, some of which are really not obvious. For example, you might have never guessed this, the testing notebook, file new programmatic notebooks, testing notebook, and make a test. Those labels there, the input, expected output, those are attached cells. It was kind of difficult to get things to place and get the pointer behavior or the mouse behavior and such that we wanted otherwise. So that's what we did. So one little bit of trivia, but this is what we did before. Our goal was always to make it available to you, and now it is in a function called attach cell. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so quick example. Now Lou DeAndrea is going to talk about this later today, I think 12:30. But I'm just going to give a quick example. So I'm just defining a cell object, which is actually pointing to this cell right here, the cell I just evaluated. I'm going to attach something to it. There it is. There's my attachment. It's boring, but it returns another object which represents the attachment. Now, this attachment doesn't affect what goes to disk. If I save the file to disk, nothing has changed. Nope, so if you look at the cell here, there's no fish in here. This is just the cell as it originally was, but I still have that object on the attachment. I can mess with it some. There we go. Make its background orange. Notebook delete will get rid of it. So here's a fun little example. Let me put that more towards the center of the screen so you can see it. Watch the cell bracket on the right here. So I'm going to evaluate this, and that's kind of a little progress meter that sticks out of the cell bracket there. So that's simple example. Obviously, we've done some very interesting things. I think that you'll be able to as well. Okay. Attached cells can have controls, including input fields. So that means you can click on them. You can't edit an attached cell unless you're editing inside the input field, though. They're deployed otherwise. An attached cell can be attached to a box, to a cell bracket, or even to parts of the window itself. Mostly it will scroll with the contents, but if you attach it to the window, it doesn't scroll, just stays there. You can set an attachment point, and in fact, this is sort of the default thing, to the perimeter of an object. So you don't have to measure the object to try to figure out, I have a thing which represents a disk. How big is that disk? You don't have to worry about that. It figures it out automatically. And you can track conditions for self-deletion, like losing focus, typing, clicking somewhere. Okay, Lou DeAndrea, 10:30. I'm going to speed through a few things here. table view. Table view's gotten a lot of love in 12.2, and it's going to continue to get love going into 13. So here's some stuff about table view. Jason Abernathy is giving a talk at noon, Central Daylight Time. So go see that. Shaders. So here I'm kind of revealing just a bit of Yutsu Lu's talk. Yutsu's talk is immediately after this. He doesn't know that I'm spoiling his talk, so don't tell him. Shaders, I just gave a little bit of background here. We've been doing some shader stuff, hatch filling, tune shading. You know, there's several other fillings and shadings. We have some new ones, and I'm kind of a fan of these. Basically linear, conic, and radial filling. Now, this of course looks pretty simple, but these things can fill anything. So we have a filling here. We have something that did work, honestly, but not now. Because something has, there we go. There we go. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So that's the various fillings. And I like the radial gradient filling on the complicated polygon there. Template box. Jason Harris spoke about template box. I think these talks are being recorded, so pay attention to his talk. The big thing that I talk a little bit just about history of template box. I don't have time to go too much into that, but here is the thing that I've been wanting to do for ages. Take a look at this. So this is this control, by the way. So this is I can change this color to be something else. But look at all of the stuff that's there. We've hard coded a button and a tooltip and a graphic and frame ticks none and all kinds of things that, gosh, I just wish we didn't. Image size is dynamic of something. What if in some future version we want it to be a different size? It's hard coded. That's it. It's done. You saved it in the notebook. It's done. Here is what we can do today. And we're not changing the default typesetting because we want to wait for compatibility. But here's what we're doing today. And take a look at this. Same thing, but it's all stored in the style sheets. So works in the same way. Everything's good. Okay, platforms. So you have questions about ARM Macs. Yes, we're actively working on an ARM port. We're also working on testing the 12.2 Intel version under Rosetta. We've been looking at 12.1 as well. The 12.2 story will be a bit better than 12.1, we think, but the final product isn't out. But you can bet that we're on it. So something which we'd hope to deliver for 12.2 didn't quite make it. It's definitely going to make it for 13. Is a complete rewrite of the 2D rendering system, fonts and 2D drawing in Windows. And so that will be the release after 12.2. 13. And we have a single renderer. For desktop and mobile, and guess what? We compiled it for the web, and it emits WebGL, and it's not in the web platform yet, but it's on a path to get there, and this is really exciting. It's when we have one source code base, we can make sure everything works the same way. So that's really exciting stuff. Okay, coming soon, James Lane is giving a talk at 10:30 about axes. Well, not just about axes. He's giving talk about a couple of things, actually. Also, my next bullet point here. But so this is fun. Axes. This isn't a lab. This isn't ready for prime time yet. But axes are going to become graphics primitives, and this is something we're going to be rolling out for that next release. I don't have anything to show here because ray tracing is something that we don't really know how much we should invest in this. Do people care? Do people not care? We don't know. It's hard to do. We have something that looks interesting and it runs on Mac OS, just Mac OS, definitely experimental, but it will be there in 12.2 for you to play with if you have a Mac version. It's undocumented, unsupported, but we'd like feedback on it. James is going to talk about that. I can't show you here because I'm on a Windows machine. So thanks, James. Okay, library link. We spent a lot of work on this. Library link is going to be a thing for the front end as well. It's already a thing for the kernel, but it's going to be a thing for the front end as well. And so why would we want to do that? Well, it's nice to be able to share code, these library link modules between the kernel and the front end. We can, we can imagine things like, for example, I'd love to add deep integration of Git into the notebook interface, communicate with the front end without saturating the WSDB connection between the kernel and the front end. One nice thing about doing a link is you can do stuff on a thread and have, pretty good isolation. Between the, it's running the same process, but you have, because the way the code is written, you're pretty sure you're not sharing fundamental resources. One of the motivating examples here was it would be nice to build a video player. So I did. Yeah, this is something that I was working on. Spent about 2 days. A lot of that was figuring out how FFmpeg works. It's just a thing which it's not fancy. This is a toy, but it's proof of concept. And so I made something which, and I downloaded some movies from NASA, and I made something which plays a movie. Yeah, you know what? The current video does that. So I thought, well, why not just play all the movies? But I thought, there are enough movies to fill a 5x5 grid. So here is 5x5 movies, and we'll just start some of these things. And I thought, you know what? I don't know if, can the current video player do this? Guess what? Being able to play 25 movies, actually, the current video player can do this. That's kind of fun. So why did I do this then? If indeed the current video player is basically doing what I've done here. Well, here's one thing that the current video player can't do. I just quit the kernel, and the movies are still going, and everything's quite smooth. I think the thing that would be most confused is my presentation notebook, which is why this was in another notebook. Okay, so let me finish off here. And down it goes. And we were just to my last slide, or penultimate slide anyway. So let me bring that back up. I guess I pushed it harder here than I did in when I rehearsed this. So yeah, what were those movie boxes? They were just dynamic wrapped around bytes, which was just data that I was sending back. This is a bog standard image. It was just boxes represent an image with the dynamic module variable representing the data. That's pretty much all it was. And some dynamic tickling going on between the library and link. That's the interesting thing, the dynamic tickling. Yeah, not much more than that, like I said. So the talk notebook is here. QR code, by the way, Cloud Publish Notebook now shows you QR codes when you publish. That's where I got this from. So if you have any questions, I will be around at 10. Thank you very much for your time.